Hello everyone. In my last video, we understand more attributes of @text annotation which are groups and depends on groups. Today we will understand other attributes. So let's understand one by one the other attributes. First of all, we will understand about expected exceptions. So what is expected exceptions? Expected exceptions accepting an exception class in the parameter value, and the use case of expected exception is that suppose if we know that this test case would fail because the number cannot be divided by 0 and it should throw an arithmetic exception. Okay, and this is expected from of our test case, and if I just run this test case it would fail, but I would like to pass this test case because I know this is expected. So what I can do is I can use this parameter expected exceptions, and I can write here arithmetic exception dot class. Okay, now let me run the test cases. When I run this test case, it prints me hello C, hello D and hello A, and all the four methods are passed: method B, method D, method A and method C, right? Correct. Now this is the use case and the syntax of expected exceptions. Now, suppose if my test case does not fail, or we are not expected any exception. I'm sorry. Let me do it again. If my test case is expecting some exception and the method is not throwing any exception, then in that case also the test case would be fail. Okay. So here 1 divided by 1 prints 1, right? It does not throw any exceptions, but I am expected the exception, arithmetic exception. Now let me run this test case again. So we can see one test case was failed, and the reason for of failing is that demo of text annotation.method B should have thrown an exception of type class java.lang.arithmetic exception. Okay, so it is expecting arithmetic exception, but as it does not throw any exception because 1 divided by 1 is 1, it does not throw any exception. That's why our test case was failed. Now let me undo the changes and put it 1 by 0, and let me made some upper exception of arithmetic exception. So upper exception is runtime exception. Let me use this and show what is the output. As runtime exception is all arithmetic exception is a part of runtime exception, so the test case should pass. So you can see all the four methods were passed and there are no failures. So this is all about expected exception. Okay, if we see the definitions of expected exceptions as well, so the list of exception that a test method is expected to throw. If no exception or a different than one on this list is thrown, this test will be marked as failure. Okay, so we see the example of if no exception as well. Okay, and suppose if I dividing this number by 0 and I am putting here null pointer exception. Okay, and there is no null pointer, then in this case also the test case would fail. So we can see the failure was 1, and the reason for failure is that we are expecting arithmetic exception but got the null pointer exception. Okay, so these are the expected and the actual ones. So this is all about expected exceptions. So I forgot to add one more thing in expected exception. Expected exceptions takes an array. Okay, so you can add more than one class here. Suppose I am adding null pointer exception dot class and I am adding arithmetic exception dot class, then it is also okay because it is accepting an array. Like we are putting the array in groups, in depends on methods and depends on groups, it is the same in the expected exception. Now let me run the test case and see the result. So we can see the test case was passed because we are expecting these exceptions, but here there is an or condition in expected exception, either this or either this. Okay, suppose if I put here instead of arithmetic exception, I put here file not found exception. Okay, and now let me run the test case. In this case, the test case got failed. The reason for failing is that we are expecting these two exceptions but got arithmetic exception. So when we use the array, it accepts, it works like an or operator. Okay, either this or either this. If any of the expected exception was found, then it is okay to pass the test case, else make it fail. Now let's understand the another attribute, that is timeout. So in some case, suppose a developer says to you that Purendra, you have to validate this API, and the API should provide me 200 response code, and you have to check the condition as well that the API should give you a results in 30 seconds. Okay. In this case, I have to put two assertions. First assertion is that I have to validate 200 response code, and another assertion is that the API should provide me a result in less than 30 seconds or maximum by 30 seconds. Okay. So about the 200 response code, that is comes in the like when we learn about rest assured. But if I talk about the timeout thing, which is the 30 seconds, this we can achieve using TestNG. So in the test annotation, we have one attribute that is known as timeout. Okay, so what you can use this timeout, and in this timeout accepts a number which should be in milliseconds. So if I am putting here like I am putting 5000 means 5000 5 seconds. Okay, this timeout 5000 is in milliseconds. If I look to the definition as well, the maximum number of milliseconds this test should take. If it has not returned after this time, it will be marked as failure. Okay, so here I'm not using any specific API to make this example easy for you guys. So what I can do, I can put here thread.sleep. Okay, and I am putting here 6000 milliseconds. It means 6 seconds. For 6 seconds I am putting a wait. Okay, let me run the test case and see what's the output. Let me write here arithmetic exception as well. So this test case should pass and this test case should fail. Let me run this, and we can see only it prints hello C and hello D. It doesn't print hello A as well. Now let me see the output. So in this output, it provides me thread timeout exception. Method did not finish with the timeout 5000 milliseconds. Okay, so here we put the timeout 5000 milliseconds and we sleep for 6 seconds. That's why our test case was failed. If I put here 4000 as well, 4 milliseconds, then we are expecting this test case to be passed. Okay, so we can see the test case got passed and it was not failed because the maximum timeout is 5000 milliseconds and it waits for 4 seconds here, and there is some delta time which it took to print hello A. So I would say it doesn't take more than more than 10 seconds, more than 10 milliseconds. Okay, so like this it works as a timeout. So I'm again repeating the use case of timeout. The use case of timeout is that in some case you have to validate that your expected test case should provide you a result in a specific time, but if it is taking more than that time, you can mark that test case as failed. So you can use this attribute timeout for that. So that's all for today. Thank you everyone.